And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. You already know what it is. It's Flight Sports TV. Now, listen, we're gonna break this game down, ladies and gentlemen. I knew that this was gonna be a tough one. We got playoff playing implications just all over the place. This is going to be a big game for the Hornets to win, um, just because of what the game is going to mean. Right now, you got all of the veterans back in for the Philadelphia 76ers. You got PG-13. He just picked up a foul on Lamelo. We're going to close you out with this game, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give you a lot of news, updates, and more. We're going to be discussing a little bit of Ball family. Lamelo Ball and the Hornets are on the cusp of postseason play. We cannot wait. Um, like I said, by the looks of things, the Hornets are going to be in the play-in at the very least. Now, the playoffs is still there's still a possibility for that. So let's see what happens. Here we go. Grant Williams been cooking too. So right now with the Hornets, they're 39 and 34. The Hornets, man, they really turned their season around. Now they got to close their season out. Um, this is going to be almost than what they've done already. But this closing stretch is going to be very important. Games like tonight defines the season. This is a big game. Right now you have a possibility where you can jump up a little bit, and possibly take that seventh seed. So that'll be big time. Right now the 76ers are 40 and 33. You still have a possibility, and right now, if you Toronto, you still can find yourself in the play-in. The Hornets just got to keep doing what they have to do. Here we go. Tyrese Maxey with the ball to Kelly Oubre. Oh my goodness, Kelly Oubre. Did he dunk it on him? Yeah, this nigga Kelly Oubre just dunked on what's the name? On Musa Diabate. He just threw it on him. I gotta get a better look at that. Hold on. Oh yeah, he violated. Yeah, Kelly Oubre just dunked on Musa Diabate. What a play. Kelly Oubre just missed that free throw. Andre Drummond is in the game. Let's see if the Hornets can pull this game out. We all know coming down the stretch what kind of game this is going to be. It was definitely going to be tough. You got a veteran-based squad. You got Nick Nurse. He won a championship before. These are the moments that they are clamoring for, and they got it. Let's see if the Hornets could somehow get this game. But right now, Philly is definitely taking the momentum. It's 101 to 97. Drummond just threw dude on the floor. Now that was uncalled for. But yeah, man, this been big time, man. The Hornets been cooking. They completely turned their season on a head. Something needs to be said about that. Who predicted this for Charlotte? Who? They are no longer a laughing stock in the league. You got to take Charlotte seriously the way they play. Like I was just I was watching the first half of this game. I'm like, yo, this is the same exact team from earlier this year. But what they have done has really turned it up. You have to look at them in a whole nother light. In a whole nother light, they could compete with anybody. They could score with anybody. Brandon Oh shit. Oh my bad. So shout out to Chuck Morris. Appreciate you with the audio. Let me know how my connection is coming in now. I thought I was good. I probably hit a button by mistake. But we got Brandon Miller with the rock, and look like he's fouled on 3 free throws. You know, yeah, we just need a little communication. Yes, shout out to everybody in the chat. We all work together here. Chuck Morris in the building. Flight Sports legend in the chat. We got Brandon Miller. He just missed a free throw. He got 28 points, 8 of 16 from the field, 7 of 9. So let's see what happens. Kalkbrenner coming in the game. Musa going down. The Hornets got to figure out some way to win this game. Can they beat veteran-based squads? Because teams like Philly, they looking at teams like Charlotte, like, come on, we young, they young teams. We they veterans. So they feel like they're gonna impose their will on Charlotte. So here go Tyrese Maxey. Maxey in the mid-range. And that is off. Rebound. Here comes Lamelo. Hornets down 2, 101 99. Melo all the way to the cup. Kicks it out. 3-ball. Oh, man, this guy, Con Knipple, just hit a big 3. Hornets just took the lead. 102, 101. Listen, the Spectrum Center is electric right now. The Spectrum Center is electric. Tyrese Maxey, he scored it in the cup. 103, 102. There we go. Brandon Miller to Lamelo. Lamelo for 3. Oh, he missed it. Rebounded by Tyrese Maxey. Sixers up 1. Here comes Tyrese Maxey going all the way to the cup. VJ Edgecombe tried to put it up. He couldn't convert it. Uh-oh. Con Knipple gives it to Lamelo. 3-ball wide open, and that's money. Lamelo was wide open in the corner. 103, 105. Good pass by Con Knipple. They gave Lamelo the ball when he was wide open. Man, the Hornets just playing inspiring basketball, man. Inspiring basketball. It's almost like you can't believe this team. It's almost like you can't believe what's going on right now. The Hornets are just shocking you. This is the same exact team from the beginning of the year. Something flipped, something changed. We got to give credit to Charles Lee Peterson, everybody. With this turnaround, this is something that people are going to remember for a long time. But they have to cap it off with a playoff berth. I think that's paramount for the Charlotte Hornets. They have to get to the playoffs. It's not a want. They have to. And with this kind of season, you turned it around. You started off horrendous and came back and fixed it. There's only one way to fix this. There's only one way to change this around, and that's actually get to the playoffs. Let's see what happens. But man, shout out to all y'all that's in the building, man. We got the playoffs coming up, the play-in coming up. Y'all let me know your thoughts on Charlotte. Where do they stand? What's your thoughts on Melo? Because Melo's been cooking. And I think we're gonna see the best of Lamelo soon. I'm telling you. I don't think Melo even really got percolating just yet. Here we go. VJ Edgecombe for 3, and that's money. VJ Edgecombe, we all know this rookie. He played way above his pay grade. No, Melo, he launched some shit from deep. At least they finally got a stop right now. Grant Williams, 3-ball. So, Grant Williams usually get his feet set. We all know what that's about. Embiid in the mid-range. Cooking. 108, 105. Lamelo back to Miles. Back to Khan for three. And that's all. Here we go. Tyrese Maxey crossing half court. They kick it to Joel Embiid in the mid-range. Joel Embiid going to the cup of one leg, and that's off. Hornets get a break, but the Hornets down three. Lamelo top of the key three ball. Money. Tie ball game. Uh-oh, Melo got that look in his eye. 17 points for Melo. They're going to have to deal with Melo. Here we go. They have a star. They have a superstar, Grant Williams. They got a double Embiid. Oh, no. Kelly Oubre, he was fouled. Come on, man. He ain't foul him. Yo, I like Kelly Oubre, man. That dude could ball. Brandon Miller said that's a bad call. Yeah, that was a bad call. Man, he never touched him. Sixers got a break right now. Oh, man. What a game, y'all. Crazy right now. Come to think about it, you see they got VJ Edgecombe. We ended up with Kyle Knipple. They seen something in her. There goes Lamelo. Lamelo. Grant Williams pump fakes it. Grant Williams all the way to the cup, and he's blocked. Joel Embiid blocks him. There goes Tyrese Maxey to Embiid. To PG. Paul George missed it. Here comes Melo. Melo to Miles. Back to Melo. Oh, Melo was about to shoot it from about 50. Miles from deep. Cash. Miles hit a big three ball. Big time play for Miles Bridges. Hornets up one. Can the Hornets will themselves to victory? This game right here will be massive. Can they win tough games? 6 lead changes, 4 ties. Embiid, he got the mismatch. Embiid mid-range. We want that shot. We want that shot. Hornets down one. Hornets up one, pardon me. 111, 110. They doubling Melo. Back to Grant. Back to Miles. Miles for three. Oh, come on, see Miles. This one we got to go to the cup. Miles wanted to shoot another three. Every time Kelly Oubre open, I think the shot is good. Here we go, Lamelo with it. They need a bucket right here. VJ Edge, come on, Melo. Come on, Melo. Cook this nigga. ISO. Yes, flatten this offense out. He got the matchup he want. There we go. Melo to Khan for three. Come on, you don't need that shot. The Hornets don't need no threes, man. They launching up all these stupid threes. That's a charge. What? They just called a foul on Grant Williams. No. Paul George, that was a charge. This nigga, come on. They need to challenge that. He threw that elbow out. Oh, nah. Oh, hell no. That's a charge. They need to challenge that. Sixers came to play tonight. Sixers coming to play. You don't think the Sixers feel like they could beat Detroit in the first round? So you do the math. Sixers is a live team, I'm telling you. PG. Sixers up one. 112, 111. Lamelo has it. Oh my goodness, Melo off one leg. Melo off one leg. Hornets up two. They got to get some stops. They're looking for what? You telling me this motherfucker Embiid, all he got to do is collapse. They're going to call a foul. Come on. Yeah, they need to review something, man. All he did was fall. Yo, Lamelo, he broke the whole everything. They had a mean miscommunication. Oh man. Man, come on. It was definitely some bullshit. It's crazy. Uh, this is crazy. They wouldn't give Miles Bridges that call. So the call is it was a defensive foul. Embiid going to the line for two. Looking to tie this game. It's a former MVP right here. Let's see if Embiid is good for one of these. I think Embiid might be good for one. He made the first one. Embiid, listen, the Sixers came to ball tonight. The Sixers game plan is health. Get healthy. They feel like they could beat every team in the play-in. including Charlotte. Charlotte had a hell of a year to have to face a team like Philly to get into the play. Yeah, I told you Embiid was good for one. Come on, but then they give the ball back to Philly. Why they don't got Musa or nobody in the game? They ain't got no size in there. They want to keep Grant Williams in there. Paul George. That might have been a dagger. That was a three. Hornets down two. Melo got VJ Edgecombe on there. When they get this matchup, they just need to flatten out everything. ISO. Melo turns it over. And that was the game. That was a terrible turnover. So every once in a while, the Hornets make a terrible mistake, and shit like this goes left. The Hornets had this game. They're gonna be kicking themselves after this one. This gonna be a heartbreaker for Charlotte. It's gonna be a heartbreaker. Tyrese Maxey just missed a free throw. It's still hope, but it's gonna be a heartbreaker if they lose. It just is. There we go. Hornets down three to give it to Lamelo from deep. Oh, it was in and out. That's definitely Hornets basketball. There's nothing to review. Hornets down three. They trying to foul Lamelo. Embiid with the big time block on Brandon Miller. Hornets down three. Man, they need to get the ball to Lamelo and let him shoot it. Or you find Khan or you give it to Lamelo. Miller been the hottest man all night, so I see why the play was for him. It looked like the play was to get Brandon Miller the basketball. They got Lamelo was he the inbounder? Right now you got 4 seconds. This game is crazy. There we go. Coming down the home stretch. Definitely down to the wire. It's 117, 114. 7 minutes, 7 seconds to go. Let's see if Zion James is inbound, and let's see what happens here. They find Lamelo. Lamelo got the ball up. He missed it. Hey man, I knew this was gonna be a heartbreaker if they lost this one. This is what Charlotte. This is why I'm concerned. When you see teams like Miami, Melo got that shot off too. He got Paul George out the way. That was a good look from Lamelo. I don't think he could ask for nothing more. Paul George just missed a free throw, but um, this why I'm concerned about all of these veteran teams hovering around the playoff situation, the play-in whole situation. It's just tough. When you face a team like Charlotte, you should see a team like Orlando. You see a team like even Atlanta. You shouldn't see a team like Philly with a three-headed monster and Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. For the right that's a lot. For a young team. I'm just being honest. When you see Miami, you got Bam Adebayo, Eric Spoelstra. That's a lot. For a young team. I'm just saying. Give credit to Lamelo Ball and the Hornets tonight. This was a heartbreaker. They really couldn't have afforded to lose this one. This would have been a big win for them, especially if they're trying to get into that 6th seed. Right now, you got Atlanta. They stepping on Sacramento right now. They are going to get a little bit more separation. They needed this. You have to protect home court if you're Charlotte, especially when you're in this situation. But give credit to the Sixers tonight. They came out and balled. Everybody played well tonight for Philly, especially their veterans. Tyrese Maxey came in with 26.7 rebounds, 8 assists, a steal, and a block. Joel Embiid, the high point man, he nearly led all scorers. Him and Brandon Miller. Joel Embiid had 29 points in 35 minutes, 6 rebounds, two assists, 2 blocks. One of those blocks was in the clutch on Brandon Miller. Who knows? That could have been the 3 that was going to tie it. Paul George, 26 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, and a block. This is big time. Kelly Oubre Jr. with 9 points. You come to Charlotte. You could have got a little bit more production out of Khan tonight. Today you had Lamelo with 20 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists. He didn't have the loudest first half. Brandon Miller, to me, he started going off, and I'm not gonna say he quieted down a little bit. He got a little quiet, but something happened where he wasn't going as ballistic as he was to start the game. That first quarter, I think the man had nearly 20 points in the first quarter. He had about 16 or 18, if I'm not mistaken, in the first quarter. So for you to have all that and finish with 29, it looked like Brandon Miller was on his way to a 40 or 50 ball. As you was watching, as I was watching. So I'm looking into that tonight. Coming off the bench, Kobe White, he chipped in with 16 points. That was big. The Hornets played well enough to win. The Sixers, they was the better team tonight. It looked like they took the game at the last second. And when you are Charlotte and you are facing teams and the game is in the clutch and is hanging in the balance, you don't want to go up against a team like this. Whereas a veteran-based squad, Lamelo tonight, that shot, I liked it. I mean, he got Paul George in the air. He got some separation. And when Lamelo shot the ball, it was a clean look. It was one of his shots. It was a tough shot, nonetheless, but that looked like one of Melo's shots that he would take. They have 4 seconds on the shot clock. So to get that look, I don't think nobody's asking for any more. Melo usually hit those shots. But what they have proved was that this is going to be a tough outing here in Charlotte. Philly, if they face them, yeah, you might be confident that you could beat Charlotte, but who knows? We very well could be looking at a play-in game right here. This could be the matchup for the play-in, man. This could be for the right to get to the playoffs. Charlotte, they at the very least, man, it's not over yet. Continue to fight for your season. get out of the seeding that you're already in. Because they didn't refresh the settings yet. I know that the Hornets, I got to take a look at where they at. But if they could somehow get, right now they in seven, they're in the eighth seed. So you wanna hover around where you're at right now, because in this situation you just have to win one in order to get to the postseason. So I think, and you give yourself two opportunities. So the Hornets, at the very least, if you can't get to the sixth seed, you make sure you stay in that seventh and eighth range. If you Charlotte, because you're gonna need everything you can get. You need all of the bells and whistles. Hornets was on a 5-game win streak. The Sixers just came and snatched it. So, and the Sixers look like they're getting healthy at the right time. I don't know if we evaluate, the Sixers look like they're getting right. Tomorrow they got Boston. You see how dangerous this is getting for Charlotte? It's starting to it could get a little spooky. They could literally suffer back-to-back losses. Tomorrow's game is nearly a must-win for Charlotte. It is at home. There's a quick turner, and you lost a heartbreaker tonight. It's going, pardon me. This is going to be a true test, of everything. The personnel, the coaching staff. What are you willing to bring to the table? Because you're going to need it. Going up against Boston, it doesn't look like it loosened up a little bit. Pause. Tuesday you got Brooklyn. Thursday, Phoenix. Then you got Indiana. These things look a little bit more promising. In my humble opinion. So the Hornets should possibly be able to win. Coming up. But this was definitely a tough outing. Definitely. Let me know your thoughts on this game. The Charlotte Hornets was able to, they nearly was able to sneak out of here. It looked like it was going to be a tough one. As I was looking, I said, damn, this game is going down to the wire. I already know fourth quarter is going to get like that. Can the Hornets win tough games like this? That's something that they're going to always, they're always going to have to deal with. Because this is what it's going to take to get to the playoffs. And then when you get to the playoffs, it's just you playing with house money. I'm not sure if anybody expects Charlotte to really make serious noise, at least initially. You crawl before you walk. I think you can. So shout out to all y'all that's in the building right now.
Once I think you guys were up 15, maybe in that third quarter, where do you feel like it started to shift, or why did you feel like it started to shift?
I felt like that was a high-level game. Both teams playing really hard. Some tough shot making on both ends of the floor. Execution I thought was good. I thought for most of the game, we were playing with great pace offensively. The ball movement, I think we got a lot of really good looks. Out-competed them on the glass for 20 offensive rebounds. And I've kind of felt like in that fourth quarter especially, just our defensive focus started to wane a little bit as we were missing shots. And I think, the guys did a good job. The last few games of just not letting that be the case ever. Our shot making can't affect our defense, and I thought it did a little bit tonight. Too many guys just driving without that physicality piece. Too many backdoors, too many offensive rebounds and clutch moments. And then offensively, I thought that our pace started to slow down a little bit. And, we were able to really put them in some compromising situations, created a lot of advantages when we played fast and played with great ball movement.
Booster started out on Joel Embiid. Ryan got some minutes there, but it seemed like down the stretch you made Grant kind of go small and have him have that matchup. What kind of led to that decision?
Yeah, I thought that Grant, his physicality on Embiid, not letting him get some easy post catches, getting up underneath him, understands his tendencies pretty well without fouling. He had missed like two of those like nailed jumpers right there in the paint. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, we're in a good place. And I thought for the most part we did a decent job. He's so hard to officiate, so hard to guard, because there's times I even think that Grant is still in pretty good positioning and got called for a foul.
You guys scored 17 points in the fourth quarter there. What do you think was the reasoning behind that and the shots that didn't fall what normally they do fall for you?
Yeah, some good looks that I think that like usually we knock down. There was a couple possessions where I thought we actually hesitated to shoot a shot instead of just maybe shooting the first one. And then give them credit. They started reading. I think that slowed us down. We started maybe playing a little bit too ISO, or it took us too long to then find the mismatch instead of just getting to the next action. But as we saw, like Embiid got on to Melo at one point instead of ISO him. Khan comes and slips, and they mess up the pick and roll coverage. And I would love to see us get to that more with mismatches and less of the ISO.
In a game like this, what do you think the guys learn most about trying to close it out against a tough team?
Yeah, again, just in the game execution. I think it's good for me to continue to learn about the team in these moments, what lineups we can go to, what plays we can execute. But also I think they get a feel for the importance of trying to get a defensive stop. We're there at the free throw line. Like if we can come up with that rebound, it puts us in a different situation going to close that game out.
You talked about the high level basketball. What was your message to the team, knowing you guys have another great team coming to town tomorrow?
Yeah, learn, fill up your cups, and get ready to compete again tomorrow versus a team that we've already beat. We understand they're going to have that edge on their shoulder because of how we did beat them in Boston, and so we got to be ready to kind of turn that page, learn and turn the page.
So you hear Charles Lee talking about turning the page, and like I said, I'm very concerned about the next game, going up against Boston. I think that's going to be tough. And he actually reminded me about how they beat them. I do remember when Charlotte went in there and beat Boston. They just beat their ass. They didn't have Tatum. I remember Tatum was just sitting there on the bench watching the whole time. So if you Charlotte, you better be concerned, with this next game coming up. This is a massive back-to-back for you. Let's see if they can remain successful. Give credit to the Charlotte Hornets, man. It's just the beginning. Listen, they lost tonight. It is what it is. It's Flight Sports TV. What's going on, Dex?
Yes, sir. Flight, how you doing, bro?
What's good?
This Saturday evening.
Charlotte Hornets. This took a massive L, man. What you think about this game?
I don't know about a massive L.
A heartbreaking L.
Yeah, Saturday night, uptown. It was buzzing in the Hive, and they just come off a beautiful win against the New York Knicks, breaking the New York Knicks win streak, even though the New York Knicks really didn't play anybody during that win streak, not anybody of significance or of consequence. And, they thought they could come in and steal one, but I was shocked to see Paul George. I thought this dude was out. How the hell did he come back?
It's looking like they got all the guys coming back at the right time.
So you could use drugs and come back? It's not like baseball where you get suspended for damn near the season?
Shit was crazy.
I thought he was done for this year, using them drugs, man. So, I mean, that might be widespread. If that's all they're gonna do is tap you on the wrist, that the PED might be widespread in the NBA right now. Because what's the punishment? 4 or 5 game suspensions. That's it, and some bad publicity.
Right.
And you come back healthy and strong and stroking threes, Pauls, like it ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, I don't know what this world is coming to, but yeah, it was a gut check for the Charlotte Hornets, and that was a decent game, and they toughed it out. Most of their games they have, they've been blowing people out. I mean, they've been setting NBA records and franchise records for point differential. So this was a tough game, and they just got to learn how to win these tough games. And they won a few back in February, but they got to be consistent in these tough games, and they can't fold, and they can't surrender, and they can't yield.
I agree. I agree with you, Dex. What I was saying was, like I said, you're going up against these tough teams, and we very well could be looking at a play in matchup right that we just seen. What do you think of Charlotte is dealing with going up against a team like this, or even Miami? I'm looking at Philly and Miami, and I'm getting scared. I mean, I'm being honest with you, because the Hornets had such a Cinderella close to the season. I just feel like in order to top it off, they have to get to the playoffs, man. I think that I think it would be a wasted year if they lose, if they miss out.
Right
So
back.
that's
Hold on
just
one
me
second.
personally. Other people might view it differently, but I just would feel like it's just wasted. It'd be a wasted opportunity if they didn't make the playoffs, in my opinion. What do you think about them facing these two veteran teams possibly, and will it be a complete failure if they didn't make the playoffs? Also, y'all answer that in the chat. But like I said, man, it's gonna be devastating in my opinion. We got Kobe White speaking. Let's hear what he got to say.
On the pick and roll. So, but I just wanted to put pressure on the rim and try to get to the rim and create for my teammates and for myself. So that's just something Josh Longstaff, assistant coach, been trying to get me to do is just put pressure on the rim, playing physical downhill. So.
You mentioned you guys learned from this game. What can you learn? What can you pick up from this game experience-wise that will help you going forward?
I think this was a high-level game. I think anybody that watched this game could say it was a playoff atmosphere. The physicality of it, the execution of it, the ebbs and flows, the swings of the game. Like I said, this is a game where, you playing in May, April, whatever, play-in, playoffs where, things ain't going your way. We're not perfect as basketball players. We're gonna miss shots. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna make every shot. So in terms of us being just relentless with our habits, no matter how the game is going offensively, how can we stay locked in and focused? And like I said, stay locked in on our habits and the stuff that we're trying to build and the stuff that we have built this season. So I think it's a great game to learn from, a great game to get better from. Obviously, we got a huge test tomorrow against a top 3 seed in Boston. So, watch this game, learn from it, but we also got to move on we got a big challenge tomorrow.
And then for you yourself, to come out and score off the bench the way you did, 16 points, can you explain, I guess, the impact you're trying to have on the bench and trying to make sure that you guys don't have any drop off when it starts down in the game?
I just want to be aggressive. Like I always say, I give credit to the coaching staff and my teammates. When I first got here, I would say I wasn't being myself, and they continue to push me to be aggressive. And when I'm in the game, be aggressive. The coaching staff trusts me to make the right play in terms of when I'm driving or the right reads. I'm getting downhill. So for me, just continue to be aggressive, continue to be myself, and just stay locked into how can I impact winning, and staying locked into the habits that they want me to continue to build for this team.
Kobe, it felt like you guys threw a haymaker in the third quarter. You go up 15, Philly kind of claws back, but the start of the fourth quarter, you guys went scoreless for the first 5 minutes. Kind of maybe what went wrong in that early fourth quarter spin?
I think to be honest, as simple as we just didn't knock down shots we normally made. We got great looks, open threes, open shots, layups, whatever you call it, and they just didn't fall. And that's sometimes how the game goes. Like I said, it ain't gonna be every game that we shoot the ball lights out. Like I think the other game we almost had a franchise record or whatever. So it ain't gonna be every game. So that's the thing that I'm saying. We gotta learn how to play within those moments and stay in the moment and figure out how we can still, impact the game without making the shots that we normally make.
You mentioned how this was a great game for the team overall, I guess big picture, and how it was a high-level game as well. I know you guys lost. Of course, you're not, having the most enthusiasm, but what was the pulse in the locker room after this one?
Hurt, because I think we fought to the end. Hurt, and we know what's at stake, and obviously Philly did too. they got some guys coming back early, coming to play, coming to compete. And that's the competitor in them. I know Maxie for a long time, and, he wanted to hoop. And he loved the game of basketball. So that wasn't a surprise to me that he worked his tail off to get back as soon as he could. So, but we know what was at stake in the locker room. We know, these last couple of games, we got to fight. We got to claw away to improve our odds of making the playoffs. So, it was hurt, but we had some good chatter before the coaches came in amongst ourselves about the game, but also how can we not let it bleed into tomorrow? How can we come back with a refreshed mind tomorrow, ready to compete? So it was good talking amongst ourselves before the coaches got in there. We had some guys speak up and tell what they what they thought, what they seen. So it was good. Yeah, thank y'all.
Hey man, that was real. A lot right there from Kobe White. He shared a lot. He spoke about the atmosphere and the vibe that's going on in the locker room after the game. He said that they was hurt. They understood what was at stake. And Philadelphia understood too. They know that they have to improve their odds as best as possible. They want to control their destiny as best they can. And I'm telling you, in that 9th and 10th spot, that's where they don't want to be. It's better than where they've been the last couple of years, but as we evaluate the current state, that's not where you really want to be. You want to be there. You want to be the 8th or 7th. Ideally, you want to take the 6th seed, but realistically, let's get the 7th and 8th. We're gonna get the Dex, but B Mill just took the podium. Let's hear what he got to say.
You guys almost need a reset to be like, this is what it takes going forward in the playoffs.
No, I think we just have to execute better down on the stretch. On the defensive side, I had a few straight line drives. Cut some of those down. Maybe we win by 6. A few offensive boards by them. Once we cut down the small things, focus on where we're good at, I think we put ourselves in a great position to win any ball game, any night.
What do you think happened in the fourth quarter where you guys scored 17 points?
I think just small stuff on the defensive side. Like I just said, few mishaps, few miscommunications. So just limit those, and we win the game by 5, 10 plus.
Right, no.
Defensively, what stood out about how you guys played? It feels like defense has kind of been in a rhythm lately, and this time it just sometimes was a little bit of the fouling. Obviously with Embiid and everything, did you guys feel like you guys were guarding him well, and it was just kind of one of those things where you just have to kind of live with what is going to
definitely transpire? I think we guarded it well tonight. Of course he's going to hit shots. It's what he does. He's all NBA player. So just, sometimes we have to live with it and just move on and, play with our pace and just focus on what we need to focus on.
Coach and even Kobe mentioned when you guys, I guess tonight for the first time in a while, your offense blend to your defense. When you guys didn't hit shots, you didn't play the other side of the ball the way you guys usually do. Why do you think that happened tonight? How you make sure you guys doesn't happen again going forward?
I would say just make a few more shots. But I think just having that mindset going into the game of just being elite two ways, whether the outcome is if you're making shots or if you're not making shots, you still got to have the two-way mindset. So just continue to have that mindset going into these next games. I think would be good.
Kobe talked about some guys in the locker room speaking up before Charles came in. What was kind of the message from within the team?
Just finishing the game the right way. Keeping the right players in action. Of course, building our lead, but building it the right way. And I feel like we didn't execute that tonight, as we see. I think we just have to be better tomorrow.
Dex, so what's some of your thoughts? We heard Kobe White, we heard Brandon Miller. What's some of your key takeaways or what we heard from our players?
Well, it's a lot of wishful thinking going on, and they're going to say the things to pander to their fan base. But basically, Philadelphia is a better team. I think it's got to face it. The Hornets played their ass off tonight, and they faced against 3 top tier all-stars, right? Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George. All three of those guys showed up tonight, and they are a multi all-stars against the Charlotte Hornets, who have only one all-star, and that's Lamelo Ball. So, I mean, you just gotta let the ball bounce, and and eat the crumbs from the cookies, because Philly is a better team, top to bottom. Concanippo ran into his rookie wall, but he had an all right game for a rookie. But we just so used to Con playing beyond rookie status. He had 11 points and 11 rebounds, so he can contribute. LaMelo played 37 minutes tonight, and that's the most out of all the Hornets. And these are the type of games where Charles Lee have to retreat in his roster and just play the better guys. He can't just keep going so deep into his bag of tricks like Felix the Cat. Kobe White only played 19 minutes. Grant Williams played 25 minutes. And that's probably because of Joel Embiid, and they needed some girth out there to try to stall Joel Embiid of just having this crazy game, right? Shot 50% from the field. But Tyrese Maxey played 43 freaking minutes. You see how Nick Nurse leaned on his top guard? 43 minutes, and he only scored 26 points, but he had a good shooting night, 10 for 18. So this is how you separate championship coaches from wannabes. Joel Embiid, 36 minutes. Paul George, 36 minutes. This was what you call a statement game that Nick Nurse was trying to push on Charles Lee. Oh, you want to play with your rosters and leaving your better guys on the bench and playing your second tier? Okay, I'm just going to play my first tier, and guess what? We're going to walk you down. And that's exactly what happened. They got walked down. Philly turned up the defense, and Charlotte started turning the ball over and wasn't getting good looks. And that's what happens. So this is a learning curve for the Hornets and Charles Lee, because when you're in these type of games like this, potential matchups in the postseason, you gotta come to play. You gotta show the team that you're superior. And tonight, that was Philadelphia 76ers.
Yep, they had a blunder. Right now, I'm watching the Kings take on Atlanta. But hopefully, but it's looking like they make it a comeback. It's a 12-point game right now, so let's see what happens. Shit is crazy. Yeah, but you're right. Give credit to the Sixers. You speak about them being a better team. Yeah, I think it would be hurtful, to see everything that went on and the playoffs come down to a game against this three-headed monster, and then like you just said, the Hornets, nobody had them in nothing. They literally resurrected the whole season, before our very eyes. And for them to go up against a team like this, it's not fair, but it happens. And the Sixers got they're built to impose their will on teams like Charlotte, unfortunately. They will be licking their chops for a team to go up against Charlotte for the right to get to the playoffs. The Sixers would love that. I'm just letting you know right now, they would love it. Whether it's in Philly or Charlotte, they would love it. And they feel very confident that that's what they want. That's what they've been building towards. If you've been keeping an eye on Philly, they haven't even been playing. Embiid been out, Maxey been out. What's the name was suspended. So it's looking like they all are brewing for this moment right here. And as we see the close of the season, all of them are back. So it's like, what's happening right now. They're all going to be a force to be reckoned with in that playing situation. And if they get to the playoffs and if they go up against Detroit better be scared if they don't got Cade Cunningham. They better be scared whoever they play, whether it's Charlotte, Philly, whoever, without Cade Cunningham. It's gonna be a serious problem. But we'll see, Dex, man. It's unfortunate. Tomorrow you got Boston. What's
It
the
doesn't get
chance?
easier for Charlotte.
Easier?
So the nightmare continues.
Yeah, that's why I said we could be looking at a quick back-to-back losses, and that could push them out of that 7-8 range. We don't want them. I don't want them to get pushed out of there because I want them to get at least 2 opportunities to get there. In my opinion, I think the Hornets need 2 opportunities to get to the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. They need as many opportunities they can get. Hopefully they can get 4 opportunities to advance to the next round. But nevertheless, the nightmare continues tomorrow. Boston will be licking their chops, waiting for Charlotte. They see Charlotte's a little down right now, losing this game against the Sixers. And Boston is looking for revenge because the way that the Charlotte Hornets treated Boston the last time these two matched up against each other without JT, now JT is back and looking to be in rare form. Oh, man. You got to watch out, man. Them damn leprechauns, man. They're looking for their pot of gold. And they think it's in the Queen City.
Yeah. Right now, you're lying. We're gonna find out. Like I said, tomorrow gonna be rough. It's 66-78 right now. Against Atlanta. Atlanta is winning. So it seemed like Atlanta could do no wrong. I was discussing this with somebody off camera. Basically, like I said, it's ridiculous. The Hornets should have been doing what Atlanta. I wanted the Hornets to do what Atlanta has done.
Exactly.
So
do that make Snyder Coach of the Year candidate?
I mean, you got to think about that, especially if they don't went into the playoffs. I mean, something got to be said. Atlanta. Atlanta wasn't. Obviously, we put so much on Charlotte because look, they have been the longest drought. Outside after the New York Knicks made it, the Hornets became like the biggest drought. It's just been crazy. Just the big ass drought.
Yeah, them and the Kings, I think, right? No. The Kings win with Fox. That's right. Yep, you're right.
Say it one more time.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Kings, but the Kings went to the playoffs with Fox that one year.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hornets might be the longest drought because Pelicans went, the Kings went, Phoenix went. Let's see. Yeah, Hornets, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right now it's an 11-point game.
Can't worry about Atlanta though. Atlanta doing their thing. Hornets got to control their own destiny and just got to try to win as many games as they can before the 82nd game is up.
Yeah, it's like
Atlanta just took off.
In the battle. Atlanta took off. It seemed like they got hot at the right time, though.
Yeah, they took off.
Hornets got hot earlier.
But the Hornets record was so dismal.
Yeah, they gave up so much ground.
It did okay, you know what I mean? But it didn't really put a dent into the competition the Eastern Conference because their early start was just so dismal.
They put a dent in their season in the early part of the year.
Yeah.
They just threw the year away. Where it looked like we having another one of them years. And then out of nowhere, they flipped the switch. So that's what happened with Charlotte. They gave up so much ground.
But I'm surprised with Atlanta, though. I mean, without Trae Young and Jalen Johnson doing his thing and Onyeka doing his thing and Dyson Daniels, I mean, Atlanta's okay, but they're not going to make no noise. Nobody's really scared of them in no play-in or a playoff series. They're not. See, they was a little afraid of Charlotte because Charlotte was just demolishing people. The win differential was just astronomical. Atlanta winning, but they wasn't winning like Charlotte was winning. Charlotte was winning with dominance, and that's what you want. And when you win like that, that's how you get everybody looking at you when you start winning with dominance. And so here was a tight game tonight, and they wasn't able to hold serve because they was up by 15. It was up by 15. They was kicking ass. But they couldn't hold serve because, like I say, you can't coach every game the same.
Yeah.
This was one of those type of games, man. You have to rely on your heavy hitters. The Bridges of the world, the Millers of the world, the Balls of the world, the Knipples of the world. You have to the Whites of the world. You have to rely on those heavy hitters, man. You can't just keep putting these dudes in. You know what I'm saying? I understand Grant. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to give Miles a little break. You got to kind of, give some beef up in the front court. But a lot of those people, man, they shouldn't even play tonight. You don't have to give everything. This is not no consolidation game. You know what I'm saying? So he got to learn that shit, man. That's the shit be pissing me off about this dude, man. If you're gonna be a coach, man, be a coach. Don't just come with your routine and your ego. I'm going to pay 13 players regardless. No, some nights you can't do that. You got to rely on your heavy hitters, man. And Nick Nurse ran circles around him, and he showed him this is why you rely on your heavy hitters for moments like this. And now, Philly with this statement win against the Charlotte Hornets, they control the tiebreaker flight. See, this is the stuff that pisses me off. Philly control that tiebreaker if it ever comes to that. It probably won't because Philly looks healthy now, but if it comes to that, they can control that. What about both of them finishing the 10th spot? Charlotte's done. All this went to waste.
Yeah.
That's what I be saying about, old boy, man, playing all these duds, man. Stop playing these duds, man. Stay with your heavy hitters, man. Trust in them. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad he did let Lamelo play to the end. He didn't do all that switching out and all that crazy goofy stuff. He let him play to the end. Lamelo did miss the shot, but still, you know what I'm saying? And then Joel Embiid blocked Brandon Miller. Oh my God, that was a spectacular play. But that's what you get from a all NBA MVP type player, right? Season after season, he's always up there in the MVP conversation. You come through in the end with big plays like that. And that's why your name circulated amongst the best. So shout out to Joel Embiid for that hustle. He wasn't gimpy. He wasn't limping. That dude ran out there like a freight train and got up and blocked Brandon Miller's shot at a jump shot. That's mad crazy. Saved the game. And then Lamelo had a difficult shot with Paul George on him. You follow what I'm saying? He had to pump fake it. He got a look, but it just wasn't in good rhythm, and he missed it. But I'm just saying, when you look at how this game was coached, you can see why Nick Nurse is a champion.
Like I said, I don't want to put too much on it because, like I said, I was listening to what what's the name was saying. Brandon Miller, play here, play there. They win it by 6 or even by 10. So I mean, but that goes with execution. Being a young team, you can't skip steps. And that's why Charlotte, unfortunately, even if they get to the playoffs, do we really give them any real hope when they get there? It's all about building, to next year, the year after. You can't. Pardon me.
But Flight, listen, Charlotte got a good team. I mean, they're not duds.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They not winning by luck. You don't dominate by luck.
I know that.
All this dude got to do when those type of games are at front is lean on your dogs. What's so hard about that, Flight? What's so hard about leaning on your best players? What is only time you don't lean on your best players because you want credit? If your best players don't win the game and you win the game, who gets the credit? Interesting, right? You think Nick Nurse cared about getting credit for this win? Maxey played 43 minutes, dude.
Yeah, you got a point there. But like I said, they got those kind of players where they hardly running plays with Maxi. You think he calling plays when Maxi got the ball?
Of
They
course.
just running shit. They just running
No,
actions
no,
and
I
shit.
disagree. You got Joel Embiid. You don't
You
think they
think
calling
so?
plays
You
for
think
Joel
you think
Embiid and Paul
it's
George?
legitimate plays being ran
Did you see
besides a
that
pick and
ATO?
roll? Besides a pick and roll.
Like, did you see that ATO after timeout play where Paul George hit that three? That was designed. Did you see that? That was designed. He hit that sucker.
Oh, yeah, I understand. I know. Yeah, what I mean by plays being ran is it just I'm gonna dump it off to Paul George and everybody get the fuck out the way, or let's give it to Embiid at the low post and
That might be
everybody
the play
just
though.
gets it.
That might be the
Pardon me?
play. It might be play 17. We're gonna run play 17. Give it
Yeah.
to Embiid, get out the way, everybody spread out on the 3-point line.
Yeah, okay. Then that maybe if that's what you want to consider that a play. But you are. I'm not gonna say they ain't running plays, but I feel you. But what I'm just saying, man, they beat them down point blank. Period. There's nothing else to point out. They
He
got
said nothing else
veterans.
to point out.
They're veterans.
Yeah, they top three, right? They top three beat
Yeah.
Charlotte top three. I mean, that's how you got to look at it. Their big three beat Charlotte big three. And some people say Charlotte got a big four if you want to add Miles Bridges in there. Only thing I'm saying is this: when you got a team like the Charlotte Hornets, young gunners, right? Not young guns that recorded for Rockefeller, not those young guns, and not Young Guns the movie with Emilio Estevez and those
Emilio
boys.
Sparks.
Yeah,
This
Emilio Estevez. You
motherfucker
remember
know
that
some
movie
people.
Young Guns with Emilio Estevez and
Oh no, not I
Charlie
always
Sheen?
say I'm tripping. I'm thinking we talking about I'm talking about Young Guns, the rappers.
That's what I'm
With
saying.
the
Young
straight
Guns
property and
recorded
all
for
that.
Rockefeller.
Oh yeah, it was
They was on
Emilio
Rockefeller.
Sparks.
Not those Young Guns, and not, but they got their name after the movie Young Guns.
Okay,
That's where they got their
Young
name from.
Guns.
So
That was a couple people from Philly. Shout out
right,
Philadelphia.
yeah. So the Charlotte Hornet got Young Guns. Load them up, let them go. Stop
Right.
getting in the way. I mean, you just gotta. You ain't looking at it like the way I'm looking at it. Because the way I look at it is less coaching is better. You follow what I'm saying? You start to overcoach these young guys. They start getting nervous and anxious and intimidated because they thinking too much. You don't want that with young guns. You don't want them to think too much. You want that to come over time with maturity. When they think the game and every dribble is calculated, that's for mature guys that's been in the league 6, 7, 8 years. But when you got players that been in the league for 4 or 5 years and they playing like this, dude, let them go. Be Phil Jackson out there. Just whistle every now and then, but let them go. Phil Jackson sometimes don't call timeout when most coaches will call timeout. Figure it out. Either you're going to win it or you're going to lose it based on IQ. So y'all figure it out. That's the only thing I'm saying. Stop putting all these duds in the game and taking people out when they got rhythm going. Lamelo had to get his rhythm in the fourth quarter. Look at Conker Nipple. All this in and out. Stop it.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, Dax, man. It's gonna be a wild way things gonna shake out. At the very least, they're going to the play-in. I'm being honest with you. Milwaukee, they punted the season is over. The Hornets have made the play-in by default. You know, um, with it's all about now with seeding. The Bucks are 29-44. They are out of it. Luckily they got a situation like this. The last thing you needed was a team like imagine you had the Bucks and the Bulls still fighting to get in. Now you got serious problems.
Yeah.
Now you got serious. Right now,
You're glad they punted, right?
seeding.
Glad they punted their season off.
Yeah. So they actually lucked up by that, because now it's like you don't have to deal with getting completely put out. You now it's just okay, where we gonna be? They go into the play-in. Hornets already made the play-in. So their season is a lot better than last year. But I think this is another thing I want to ask you. Do they have to make the play? To me personally, I think this will be a failure. Yeah, again, I mean, I think it will be all for nothing. This is not the Utah Jazz where they're closing out season pretty well and you getting hope for next year. This is the Hornets. You got a sprinkle amount of veterans on this team. You have to get to the playoffs, man. Especially when the East is kind of weak right now, where Cade Cunningham is dealing with his situation. This is where I think you can make a lot of noise, and catch lightning in the bottle. What do you think if the Hornets have to make the playoffs?
I don't think they have to make the playoffs in Charles Lee's second year, because what are you seeing is increasement. What are you seeing is growth. What are you seeing is development. And that's what you want to see with a young coach and a young team. You want to see that increase. You want to see that growth. You want to see that getting to the next level of development, and where you are dominant and winning at the same time. And statistically, you're amongst the top in your respective conference and even in the association. So you want to see that, because this instilled in players accountability, responsibility, and confidence. And that's what you want in young players. You want them to be accountable, you want them to be responsible, and you want them to have full-fledged confidence. Because once they have their full-fledged confidence, they're going to pay more attention to detail. And that's when the coaching becomes much easier, when they have the confidence, because they don't mind doing new and improved things, because what you have shown them in the past has been fruitful. And a lot of young men love to be fruitful and show that they can get the job done. So I don't think it's empirical for the Charlotte Hornets to make the playoffs, but it will be so satisfying to watch when they get into the postseason. If they can extend the season past 82 games, that'll be so satisfying. Not only for the Hive, but for the NBA. Because now you get an opportunity to judge Lamelo fairly and pass. Lamelo was getting a pass because of the structure of that team, and the regime was giving Lamelo a pass. So now you have a new regime, a new structure, and when Lamelo gets into the 83rd game of this NBA season, that's when no hold bars, no more training wheels. The diaper has been removed, or the pull-up have been removed. And now, let's see if you potty train. This is what the NBA is waiting on. They want to see LaMelo Ball, product of LeVar Ball. Can they do what he said they can do when it gets to the postseason, when they're running the team? Because when LaMelo Ball made the postseason his first 2 years, he wasn't running the team. So now, under his stewardship, what do we have? What can we get? What are we going to see? What are we going to witness? What are we going to observe from this young man? Is it going to be stellar basketball behavior, or it's going to be frolic and folly and end up failing? The judge has entered the courtroom. The judge resides and seated and proceed to use his mallet to bang on the desk. LaMelo Ball court is in session. This is what we want to see. We want to see how you handle it. We ain't worried about Miles Bridges. Who cares, right? We're not worried about Brandon Miller, still youngster, still getting the pet milk from his breath. We're definitely not worried about Con Knipple, because he's still an embryo in this basketball thing. So we just want to see what Lamelo LaFrance Ball gonna do when you shine a light on him. When you put the spotlight on him, what is he gonna do? And that's what we're waiting on. And from the looks of it, it seems like LaMelo Ball is starting to take hold of that and start to accept that responsibility. Because I know for definitely in the past, he was shied away from it. Now it's like he's ready to do it, And the NBA want to see what the hell you got in store for us, LaMelo Ball. So that's basically my take on the importance of the Charlotte Hornets making the playoffs or not. I just think LaMelo Ball needs to have a good showing in the postseason, whether they get to the playoffs or not, because nobody expected this team with this roster construction outside of Charlotte, Greensboro, thought the Hornets would be playoff contenders. They had the Charlotte Hornets winning 27 games this year. They might be plus 20 on that. So how the odd makers were so off on that? 27 games? So it's not about them getting into the playoffs, but since they are qualifying for a play-in seat, LaMelo has to have a good to great showing. And that will be promising for the Charlotte Hornets moving forward. And it might determine if he stays in Charlotte or not. Like,
You talking about that for LaMelo?
yes, sir. That's the only person I'm talking about.
We're not past LaMelo's future in Charlotte yet. That's not secure just yet.
No, it's not secure just yet. Because the reason why I'm telling you it's not secure just yet, because they will be talking extension. Even though they probably won't give him no extension, they'll still just be putting it out there for the fans to let the fans know the organization is looking forward to having LaMelo in uniform in the future. That's not even on the tip of nobody's tongue right now.
So they got to get to if they get to the playoffs, then that might secure it, or it's got to go into what happens next year too.
Like I said, it's not the playoffs. Because that's exceeding expectation. But now that they're in a play-in scenario, LaMelo got to show his ass. You feel me?
Be the difference. You got to be the reason why they get there.
And not only getting there, when you get there and you play that 83rd game, you better show you damn near have to have a 30-some point triple-double in a loss.
Nah, now that you said that, Dex, I don't want to see no 13-6. You understand?
Right.
You can't have no game like that in the play.
No.
You got to go for everything. Go for 50.
Yeah. If you lose, you lose with everything on the court. But if you win, you can have 13. If you win the game, you can have 13-6 if you win. Because all it's about is win in advance. But you can't have that in no loss. That's all I'm saying. If you have 13-6 in the loss, all that get LaMelo up out of there will arise again. It will have yeast. This time it'll have yeast in it. So yeah, he got to perform. You got to perform. The diapers are gone. The pull-ups are thrown in the trash. You either shit or get off the toilet.
Yeah, he got to have a good outing. It's a must. I agree.
It's a must. Yeah. So Charlotte, I'm not trying to say you got to win because nobody expected you to be this far, and you're doing very well, and the NBA ratings are going up because of Charlotte is doing
Right.
so well. I mean, people are talking about Charlotte now that have never talked about Charlotte, and when they did talk about the Charlotte Hornets, they was disparaging towards them. It wasn't anything good. Now they talking good. They talk about teams better watch out. Charlotte's dangerous. I'm like, whoa, where this come from? This dude did a 180. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. And I'm on record for saying it. If Lamelo lay a turd in the 83rd game and they get exit one and done, like
That could
March
be it.
Madness, that talk about him being in another uniform is gonna have yeast on it.
His trade value should be through the roof now, right?
I think it's always been kind of through the roof, except for the injuries bug. If you alleviate the injury bug, it's through the roof because he always had when he was healthy, he always had good games. Like I mean, he's a former All-Star now. He always had good games when he's healthy. It was his health. Can he hold up under scrutiny on the 82 games season? And now he
Right.
showed he can.
Right.
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 And so Charlotte's thriving. You got Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller's playing so well. I mean, Melo was what player of the month? Was it player of the month for the Eastern Conference?
Yeah. He was looking like the second coming of Paul George today.
Man, that dude Brandon Miller was looking good, dude. I don't even know how the hell I try to pick Scoot over that dude. I'm ashamed of myself. I'm really ashamed of myself. Like you might have to take one of them stripes off my general lapel because of that. I lost a stripe on that one. I don't know how I didn't see this. This dude is man, Brandon Miller gonna be awesome, dude. I'm telling you. This dude gonna be his confidence is shooting through the roof and he's hitting his shots. Yeah. Soon as you start shooting that little mid-range again, it's gonna be over. This dude gonna be a perennial all-star, all NBA player. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that shit crazy, man. We're gonna find out about this next game now. Like I said, it's looking like Atlanta is starting to fall, give up this game a little bit.
So when we look when we go back
Sacramento
to
was creeping back in.
yeah, we don't even worry about Atlanta. Charlotte's got to just control their own destiny. But when we look at the tail of the tape, um, Brandon Miller played 34 minutes. LaMelo Ball played 37 minutes, the most out of all Hornets. And Con Knuppel played 36 minutes. So let's add that up. So that's 11, 6, 17, 4, 7, 117 minutes for the Charlotte Big Three. Let me see what Nick Nurse did with his squad. Let me see. Paul George, 26. Joel Embiid, 29. Maxey, 26. Oh, I'm
You
looking at the
don't think
wrong
it's
thing.
unfair to
No, I'm
compare
looking at the wrong
Charles
thing.
to
Hold
Nick
on. I'm
Nurse?
looking at that's the scores. That's the scores. No, Paul George played 36 minutes. Joel Embiid played 36 minutes. Tyrese Maxey played 43 minutes. Right? I'm not going to even count Edgecombe and Barlow. Okay, let's go. Paul George, 36. Joel Embiid, 36. So that's 72, right? 72, 43, 115 minutes. So they played more minutes than Charlotte Big Three. They played 117 minutes. Wait a minute, I'm seeing that right? No, I counted that wrong. My bad. 72 and 3 is 75 and 40 is 115. That's what I said, right? 115? 115 minutes for 76ers.
Right.
So they almost about even. They're almost about even. Yeah, it's almost about even. It's not too far off. Yeah, 117 and 115. It's about even. It's just that Charles Lee was taking players out at weird times in the game, man. You know, like he kind of let off the gas a little bit, and then the game just shifted in that third quarter. That's something Charlotte has to learn how to do. You're not going to always coast to victory. You know what I'm saying? Because in the third quarter, that was even. It was even. 28-28. So the Charlotte had a 15-point? Is that 15-point lead going into the fourth? No. 26, 17, 9-point lead. Charlotte had a 9-point lead going into the fourth. Did you know that, Flight? And they couldn't even score 20 points in the fourth quarter. That's where they lost that. Charlotte only scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, going into the fourth quarter with a 9-point lead.
Yeah, man. So, what chances do you give Charlotte in the play-in?
It depends who they play.
Orlando.
They can beat Orlando. They can outgun Orlando. See, Orlando going to try to be bully. See, they think they Detroit. They think they the Detroit of the South. That's what Orlando thinks. But they don't have the guns like Detroit. Detroit got a whole lot of supreme athletes to run with Cade. And Orlando's only dependent on Paolo and Franz.
Yeah.
And sometimes
who would you rather stay away from, Miami or Philly? Who should be concerned?
Philly. No, Philly. Philly is the best team in the play-in situation. By far the best team. Philly shouldn't even be there. We all know that. That's a team that's not supposed to be in the play-in. But like you say, the injuries hurt them, and they happen to fall down. But I don't think Philly's worried if they're healthy. If they're healthy, that big three, they're not worried. They don't care who they play in the play-in. I don't think nobody could beat them. You got Maxey that's running downhill, one gear downhill. You got Joel Embiid just being the bully in the block. And then you got Paul George just roaming the perimeter. That's a hard team to beat. And then VJ Edgecombe. Don't forget about him. That's going to be a hard team to beat in the play-in. So Philly needs to hurry up and get up out that situation and get into the playoffs. So the Hornets can have a better chance. Atlanta needs to drop down. So they could be Atlanta, Charlotte, Orlando, and Miami. And Atlanta and the Hornets, excuse me, the Hornets can beat any of those teams on any given day. They're not going to beat Philly, not a healthy Philly. I mean, me and Purple Baby had this discussion when the season started, who had the better roster. And I said Philly. And it looks like I might be right on that. But I was wrong on the Charlotte Hornets not being a contender. She was right on that. She said the Charlotte Hornets would be contenders. I thought she was just delusional, but she was definitely on point on that.
Yeah. Who's being delusional?
Purple Baby.
Oh, yeah.
When she said Charlotte Hornets are contenders. I'm not for a championship. I'm talking about playoff.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I mean, hey, I'll tell you what if they get into that 8th seed without Cade Cunningham?
They ain't no contenders for no damn
Philly,
championship.
Detroit still will be the favorite.
Yeah, but they not gonna get even if they beat Detroit and go to the second round. That's it. That's as far as they go.
But that's a lot. That's a lot. Are you crazy? How they went from we about to trade every fucking body, fire the coach to the second round. That's massive.
Yeah, I mean that's good for the city. You're right. That's good for the city, and that's a good NBA story, right? Cinderella story. Either the Hawks or the Hornets is gonna get to the second round. One of them might get to the second round with that Detroit situation. That's why they hurry up and ran Jason Tatum back. They seen what the Charlotte Hornets was doing. They like, man, we need Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum even went to the G League flight. Can you imagine Jason Tatum playing in the G League to get back? That's crazy.
We can't hold the Hornets to Lakers standards. Second round, goddamn it, that's huge.
Now that'll be good for this squad. Yeah,
yes.
I agree. That'd be good for the squad.
Behind that.
Yeah. And like you say, depends on who they play in the second round. They could advance. They could have one of them Cinderella stories like the Atlanta Hawks had, or the Phoenix Suns. They could have one of them stories. If they get Detroit first round, then the Knicks second round, it could be curtains for these people. They got to stay clear of Boston. They got to stay clear of Philadelphia. They got a chance with Cleveland. Hornets got a chance with Cleveland. I just only think it's two teams that can wipe the Hornets, and that's Boston and Philly. Who you think would be their worst nightmare flight?
Oh, Dex, can you hear me? My bad. I was talking the whole time. Nobody heard me. What I was saying was I was talking about Miami is another team I'll be concerned with. If they put it all together, they could cause some of those similar problems as some of these other teams. But like I said, let's see if they put it together. So let's see.
You say Miami?
Yeah. Miami's a tough team, in my opinion. I just think they are. I think these are teams that really shouldn't have been in the play-in. But they finding themselves there. Like Philly, this seemed like this dirty. I would hate for the Hornets to have to deal with Philly for the right to get to the playoffs, and then especially if Philly lose. You got to think about it. The pressure gonna be all on Philly. If they were to face the Hornets for the right for the winner to go to the playoffs, if Philly lose, it's time to let everybody go. It's like they shit is at a crossroads. They lose to the Hornets to get to the playoffs. You gotta think about what you're gonna do with Paul George. What's the future of Embiid? It's like the Sixers, I think there's a lot more pressure on them. The Hornets really, it's about what they're gonna do with Melo. And I just think that that Knippel and Miller gonna be there. At the very least, they know they got they building blocks. I don't know. Maybe they feel like if they let go of Lamelo, the ship's still gonna move.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Somebody says I'm living a Christmas story.
Yeah, Flight. I'm going Shut it down, bro.
Yeah, man. Like I said, yeah,
That's
we're
it for
gonna
me.
touch bases, man.
Yeah,
Salute
we
to all
gotta have
y'all
save some for
brothers.
Boston.
Yeah. Y'all make sure y'all pull up. We got a game in 24 hours. Hornets, Celtics. Let's see if they can bounce back from this situation. You already know what it is. Make sure you hit the like button. Most definitely hit the subscribe button. Peace and love. It's Flight Sports TV.